So after years of trying, I've got to a point where I can share the recipe with you. What you're going to start off with is some bulgur wheat. Let's put the veggies over here because this is really important. And bulgur wheat has a lot of iron. It's a whole wheat product, really good for you. And it comes in different grinds. This is number 2. Number 1 is a real fine grind. Number 3 is more coarse. So whatever you can find in the health food store or on your grocer's shelf is just fine. Now, most recipes tell you to pour boiling water over bulgur wheat. Don't do that. What we do, and which is a very gentle way of reconstituting the wheat, because you can't eat it just like this, it's rock hard. We rinse it 3 times under cool water. Why 3 times? Because my mom told me 3 times. And then the last time you have about 1/8 of an inch, just a film of water over it. Let that sit and all the moisture will be absorbed and it will be just crunchy and just delicious. And 1 cup, this is 1 cup of wheat, swells to about 2 to 3, so know that. And if you have any left over, it's great in cereals or you can even freeze it. So that's your bulgur wheat tip for today. So we're going to set that aside, and while the wheat is soaking, prepare your veggies. And the veggies, look at this. This doesn't look like a kaleidoscope of color. The most important thing is fresh parsley. You can't use dry in this, 1 head. And I use the old-fashioned curly parsley, and a lot of people like to use this. This is the flat Italian. Any kind of parsley you like is just fine. And remember, it's like a vitamin pill in a plant, as I've mentioned, really good for you. And to that, you want to add 1 bunch of green onions. And I use the root end also. Just cut off those little hairy parts. Remember, nutrition starts in the root. You should always use the root end of veggies and that sort of thing if you can. Another thing that you need is chopped tomatoes. And interestingly enough, I don't peel, I don't seed any tomatoes, because guess where the most nutrition is? It's that little mucilaginous stuff that holds the seeds together. Tomatoes have something called lycopene, good for your prostate, good for your memory, your motor skills, and your tummy. So anytime you can use a whole tomato, go ahead and do that. And we always put some, we used to call them mangoes, bell pepper, red, green, yellow, whatever you have. And Mom always put radishes in hers. Radishes have a huge amount of vitamin C, and they're delicious. They have a peppery flavor. They also have calcium, and the vitamin C in the radish is actually more abundant in the leaf. So when you buy a bunch of radishes, chop some of those leaves up in your salad. We also have cucumbers. This is a typical Lebanese vegetable, actually mentioned in the Bible. And what I've done is I've used an English cucumber. Cucumbers from the garden are fine. If you buy a regular cucumber in the store, you might want to peel it. But the English cucumbers, seeds are very small. You don't have to seed, you don't have to peel. So what I'm going to do now is just mix all the veggies in, and then I'm going to add my bulgur wheat, and then I'm going to add some cumin to you. This smells like my mother's kitchen. I love this aromatic spice. Now, some recipes don't put cumin in, but we always do. I'm also going to add some fresh basil. Wow, lots of iron and potassium, and it's got a slight licorice clove scent. And I'm going to put some of my mom's heirloom spearmint in here. Look at this. This is huge. Spearmint's really wonderful for your digestion. Now, what happens, though, if you don't have fresh herbs? Basically, if you have the veggies and the wheat and the cumin, it'll still taste great. We're going to finish it off, too, with a little oil. And then we're going to talk about whether or not to use a lemon. So let's go ahead, just start mixing up. This, to me, is just summer. Summer in a bowl. There we go. That looks beautiful. So let's now go ahead and add the bulgur wheat that's been soaked. And if you don't add the bulgur wheat, you know what? This makes a great little salsa. Now we're going to start adding our spices. The cumin, anywhere from 2 to 3 teaspoons. And go to taste. Remember, you can always add, but you can't take away. That smells so good. There we go. And I'm going to take my glove off now because I want to add some freshly ground pepper and salt. There we go. And if you have a salt grinder, that's great too. Otherwise, regular salt, and I use sea salt because to me it has more flavor and you don't need quite as much. But salt is a seasoning, so unless you're salt challenged, don't think that you can't use it. So we've got that in. We're going to go ahead and mix that up. Smells so good already. Now we're going to add the herbs. Okay, what I'm doing now is I am just rolling up my basil leaves, sort of like a cigar, and then I'm going to cut them on an angle. This is called a julienne or ribbon. What this does is it just keeps the integrity of the basil. It just allows you to chop it a little bit easier. And basil leaves sometimes turn black on you. That's just because they oxidize. It's just the nature of the beast, so to speak. And my spearmint leaves, by the way, if you're growing mint and you don't know which kind to grow for food, for your recipe, spearmint is the most common. It's very sweet. Peppermint is good, but it's got a lot of menthol in it. It's used more medicinally. We've got our mint and our basil, and oh, that smells good. I know I keep saying that, but it really does smell great. Now, what we do is we finish it off with a little canola oil or olive oil. Now, Mom, when we were growing up, olive oil was expensive, and she used to keep it in a big tin, big container in the pantry. So canola, you know, it has the omega-3s. It's healthy for you. And we're not using that much. And this just rounds out the flavor. Now, most people, if you buy this in the grocery, in the deli, it will have lemon juice, a lot of lemon. A lot of my relatives who are Lebanese use lemon. We only use lemon when in the winter time when we can't get the fresh tomatoes from the garden. So that's up to you. You can use lemon or not. But I'm going to taste this and see if it doesn't need the lemon, I won't be putting any in. There you go. Tabouleh, it's not hard to make, better than anything you can buy.